Welcome back to the Daughters of the Moon podcast. We're grateful that you can join us for another week.
We sure are.
And we're excited today. We have Jennifer Longmore, who channels Mother Malia. And she's an award-winning CEO, 11 times best-selling author, and founder of the #1 Akashic Record training school in the world. Over the past 20 years, her school has certified over 100,000 consultants in over 100 countries and has been translated into 5 languages. She is also the clear channel for Mother Malia, the great mother who comes to earth during times of great transition like the collective ascension we are experiencing now. She's here to restore the original codes of the land of the people, to reawaken the gold codes as they were intended, and support as many light leaders as possible to elevate into their sacred mission and allow in millions to fuel the spread of their sacred gifts. The Malia bee is named for the Great Mother. When she is not channeling and providing high-level strategic guidance to light leaders, you can find her enjoying trips with her family, hikes with her dog, or attending to her 100+ rare plant collection. So welcome. It's really nice of you to join us today.
Well, thank you very much for having me. Yes, 100. That makes me sound like I need a plant intervention. Is that what this is today? You're actually sitting me down to say we need to talk about your 100 plants?
Right? Well, it could be if you wanted it to be, but
okay.
I
don't know my
plants
plants will appreciate that.
Especially
Yes.
exotic plants and things like that. They're so beautiful, some of them.
Oh, yes. And sometimes the ones that are labeled the easiest to care for don't do as well as the ones that are supposed to be very high maintenance and tricky and such, So yes, thank you for understanding my language.
Most definitely. We both are lovers of plants as
We
well.
are.
Oh, so
Yeah.
that is our love language, is plants.
That is.
Absolutely.
Yes.
100%.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit about how you got on your journey?
Yes, well, I already had I have always been channeling Mother Malia. It's that she was channeling, I suppose, side by side with me, if that makes sense. Similar to if someone were channeling an angel or something like that. And then 6 days before my retreat last year in Sedona, I said, I just want to channel 24/7. That's all I want to do. Just get back into that. And I was at a private horse retreat, and one of the very, very wonderful horses, the sacred horse, came forward and he anointed me. I didn't know what he was saying to me, but I kept crying and saying, thank you, thank you, thank you for 2 hours. It was really beautiful.
I bet.
And then halfway through my Sedona retreat, bless everyone that was there, because imagine signing up for a retreat thinking you signed up to have one person, and then they end up with another person. And so what happened was, we had, as can happen in groups, it can get a little bit crunchy. And someone was very crunchy that day, let me put it that way. And I knew it wasn't her. I knew that she was kind of being a surrogate for everyone's crunchy bits, if you know what I mean. Like she was just being the sponge for it all. So all day long, I said, goodness, the group has to kind of take responsibility for creating this for themselves, but I'm leading the group. They're looking to me they're all coming here for a once in a lifetime retreat. I kind of have to make sure the synergy in the group is working. I don't want to ask anyone to leave, but this can't keep going the way it is, kind of thing, And it must have been about 10:30 at night or something. It was very late. I was very tired. And I said, and I've never said this in my life, I said, my human doesn't know what to do with this. I'm delegating this to divine perfection. And when I wake up in the morning, I would like to be crystal clear about how to handle this. And at about 3 o'clock in the morning, Mother Malia started coming in and talking to me. And my body was resting, but my mind was very lucid. And boy, was she chatty. And I say she because we're the same person, but kind of my human tethers her, if you know what I'm saying. So I can use my human examples, but she controls them out. And by about 5 o'clock in the morning, everyone was already awake in the retreat. Some of them weren't waking up until about 8 in the morning, but they could feel the magnitude, something big was happening. And so as she was channeling to me, I said, well, why are you here now? And she said, because there's imminent danger on the planet. And then 6 days later, the bombing started in Israel. Yes.
Wow.
So I suppose the easiest way to say this is that the dark, as we like to label it, I don't judge it because I cannot judge, but those that we consider the dark forces on the planet, the controllers, the whatever, they have contracted to play that role for us, because if we were treating ascension like a hangnail, we will never get to it. We need that pressure to really force us, I say, you know, in a nice way, of course, to make our ascension a priority. We can't avoid it. You know, we can't avoid doing what we came here to do, which was claim our sovereignty, remember our original coding, lift the veil, other such things. And so I have great actually appreciation for the dark energy. And that might sound weird for people to say, but what has happened is that they have overstepped their agreement with us. And so that is why many light leaders are feeling a great sense of, I call it sacred rage and sacred indignation, because our original coding says, wait a minute, this is not what we agreed to. And so that is why I'm here, to ensure that we reclaim our planet, that we restore equilibrium on the planet, that we really usher in what is called the new earth. I like to just call it heaven on earth. Heaven on earth is already here. We're just remembering. And this time around, we are here to get it right. So it is my job to pollinate, because the Malia bee, as you shared, was named after me in 12,000 BC because of my great stewardship for bees. So I am basically a steward for consciousness, you know, and that is what the sacred bee is all about. And so if people can restore their relationship with the creation codes, I will call it, and the original coding, then everyone can be in this energy that I am in now, if that makes sense. I am literally how all humans are meant to move through the world when we truly ascend. There is no judgment. It is neutral and above. That is where I operate from. That was a very long-winded answer, so I will zip it for now.
No, that was perfect. Because
Yeah.
we believe that there, you know, you need some of that dark though to show you the light, right? And to show you that
Yes.
way, and what is, you know, has been historically happening, and how we're needing to shift it more now. And
Yes.
so I
And if
think
we
that,
think of the ship, you know, if we think of a ship, like people will go sailing at nighttime. There's nothing wrong with sailing at nighttime. It just means that your vision is different. You don't see the same thing. In fact, you have to use different awareness when you're in the dark.
That's
But
right.
yes, we need the lighthouses to get back to shore. So we don't even a lot of people will like to talk about shadow work and dark, but it's all judgment, you know. But like I said, there is an element of we must maintain equilibrium, and the dark ones, I will just say for ease, are really trying to run their agenda. And what I would love for the light leaders to remember, and here's how I know this, because in the retreat, one of the women that was very hijacked by the AI agenda, I will call it, you know, there was a lot of artificial energy inseminated into her field, to the point where she was almost lost. And that's why we were having issues, you know. So we kind of did what do you call it? AI exorcism. I say that jokingly, you know. But then after it was all said and done, and we all kind of took a deep breath, because it was very intense. And I had only been Mother Malia by maybe 4 or 5 hours by that point. So it was a lot, you know. And all of a sudden, someone's cell phone rang, and I laughed for about an hour. Everyone laughed, and we couldn't stop laughing. And they didn't know why I was laughing, but I couldn't stop. Here's why: because it sounded like a mechanical bee. And I said, if that is the best that they can do to replicate the bee, AKA creation, we have already won. Yes. But they cannot replicate the frequency of the infinite creative life force. They just cannot. All they can do is invert it. And so we are simply here to remember that we have already won, so to speak. I say that loosely because it's really not a war, but it can feel that way, you know. We have already reclaimed our planet. We're simply here to remember how we did it.
yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. So what are some ways that we can do that?
Oh, well, yes. Well, here's the thing. The planet is, we have, you know, original creation, I would say. All of us, I will just say for ease, benevolent beings. And then we have inverted creation, which is what the dark ones will do, you know. And And so in their system, what they have done is they have created a lot of inverted triangles, one of them being creation. So the creation triangle is the bee, the sacred cow, and the horse. That is what upholds sort of the pinnacle of creation. Well, they have taught us to reject that medicine. Right now, there are horses being rallied up. The sacred horse is sovereignty, is freedom. It is not lost on me that all of these horses are being rounded up, wild horses, and put into prisons and sent to auction to clear the land for more building. Isn't that unacceptable? And so look at, we have been taught to disregard the sacred horse, disregard the cow. We have been taught to kill bees because they might sting us, and people forget that the bee only will sting you if it is sacred medicine. That is actually a very high honor if the bee will take her time to give her stinger to you, you know. But my point is that in the inverted triangle, we have savior, sacrifice, suffering, right?
Yeah.
So we bond through suffering. Many people's businesses are about saving people from themselves. I've got to save you from the spells that have been cast over you. I've got to save you from your own choices, etc. And even in business, we will sacrifice our health for business. So there will be a lot of ways that that inversion plays out. And what happens is that inversion informs the broken healer paradigm. And as long as we are viewing people as broken, we are then already working against our original codes, which is that we are to meet sovereign to sovereign.
That makes sense.
And so it may not make sense to us as to why certain people will choose what we judge as suffering. They might inside be saying, oh, I'm so glad I'm moving through this in my life. It is really preparing me for, you know, something. But instead we will judge it. And so, and the broke healer part is that, you know, money is the language spoken here. Whether we like it or not, that is the language spoken here. It's not the only language, of course, but it is the language spoken here. We are, for all intents and purposes, if we're going to label it, in a war on consciousness. It stands to reason we are the most infiltrated group in the world because they know that we're helping the planet ascend. So they're coming for us the hardest.
Mhm.
And so we're simply going to require money. We're just going to require the language to outcreate what is happening. But many people will say, oh, I cannot do that. I'm spreading light. It is no longer about spreading light. It is about saying, I must allow people to make financial offerings to me for the blessings I provide to them. And in exchange, I will use it to fuel my sacred mission in service to reclaiming heaven on earth.
Yeah. Yeah. And that is the way that it is right now. So we have to honor that as well, right? As part of the steps to get there.
Yes, absolutely. And people, I have done some trainings on this. And when I first changed my business model years ago, I used to do readings $400 an hour, and I was doing very well. But you got to think how many readings I was selling for that, you know. And I wasn't even focused on the money, by the way. I will be surprised. I will go to the bank and I will say, "Oh goodness, wow! I did not see that coming." But then I changed my business model to be a little more sustainable and say, well, no, I prefer to work with people that are in an ongoing relationship with me. So here's some packages. And then some of my clients, not very many, at least to my face, I shall say, you know, perhaps behind my back, it was different. But a few people said to me, you've changed, you're all about the money. No, I'm actually not all about the money. You are all about the money. If it is keeping you up at night and you are losing sleep over it, you are actually all about the money, even though you're saying you're not. If it is constantly in your mouth and you're talking about how you don't have it, then you are actually all about the money. If we look at actual logic, you see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And that is okay, because this world, here's the beauty of why we want money. If people will like the answer, the reason why we want money is because we want to be. We don't want to do anymore. We want to be. And in the new earth, we simply must. You see, I cannot plan in the future anymore. Maybe a month ahead. That is about it. My brain does not sequence the same anymore. And when I'm too locked into a calendar, I simply have to release some things out of my calendar, because even though I love everything I do, I'm not meant to be locked into time. I'm not meant to be producing for the sake of producing, if you get what I'm saying.
Mhm.
And so money gives all of us the space to be, so that we no longer feel that we are compromising ourselves to get by, to have shelter and various such things. So wanting more money is actually a very natural thing to desire, because it's not about the money. We have a deep awareness that money gives us the space to be. And so if we would like to stop doing and start being, money really is a variable in that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm actually just reading a book right now, and it's talks about enlightened wealth. So it's like we need it as that transactional thing to be able to exist in the world, but we also need to know that there's so much of it that there's enough for everybody to go around. So
Absolutely. Yes, it is similar to food. You know, we are programmed to believe that there's not enough food. That is false. It is about the distribution of resources, because I live in Canada. There are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of apple orchards that have been abandoned because they have no one to tend to them. Now, I know you cannot just live on apples. I'm not saying that, but there are literally millions of apples that are dying every year because nobody is there to pick them.
That's right.
So it is not, yes, children are starving in Africa, so to speak, and other countries, but that is distribution of resources.
Yes.
And that is not just food, that is money, etc. And so if that is a bee in someone's bonnet, no pun intended, then great. Let's channel your resources to rectify the distribution of resources on the planet.
Right. Well, and then, I mean, there would be lots of options to send people to these orchards to protect, work there and be cared for and have a home and be able to distribute that to help balance out some of the different issues in the world. So,
Yeah, true.
Yes.
I can understand what you're saying there with that. It's like that whole, let's try to even things out.
Yes, well, even all we have to do is look at the news cycles to see that they are very particular about how they distribute information to us. You see what I'm saying? It is all when we understand that whoever controls the knowledge controls the people, right?
That's true.
Then it is incumbent upon us to say, okay, well, how am I going to be an impeccable steward of my consciousness and create pristine conditions in my consciousness to be so clear in my channel that I have full awareness, so I can see what is really going on and then see what part of my mission is meant to contribute to the solution.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so how does one start acquiring that knowledge?
Oh, well, I will tell you. Well, as you can see, I'm in joy, and it is not that joy, it can sound a little bit simplistic when I say joy is the highest frequency. It is not that it is joy, it is that the highest frequency expresses as joy. And I don't know if it will happen today, but when I have big joy bursts, then that becomes ecstasy. And the reason why my face is squinching so much is not because I'm closing my eyes to channel, it's because I have so much joy, it pinches my cheeks and pinches the muscles behind my eyes and closes my eyes on me. Yes. And so in the middle of the night, for example, I will, my bladder will be, I will thank my bladder. It will be very cute. It will say, wakey, wakey, it's time to go and empty me. And I will giggle. And then my husband hears the giggle and then he giggles, you see. But here's the thing about joy. And this is why this is very important. Because if we are in a frequency war, then everyone who wants to go to battle and protest and all of the such things with the government, etc., that if that was effective, it will have already worked. But if we are in a frequency war, and I don't like that term, but I'm just saying that for ease, then it stands to reason that increasing our frequency is the issue. And here's where some light leaders are going to be upset with me, and that's okay. A lot of light leaders will have what I call enlightenment Olympics. They want to out enlightenment each other. I have my 4th degree Reiki. Oh, well, I have four different Reiki master. There will be this competition. And they will be upset if I say to them, no, you're actually not a master of energy. And they will say, yes, I am. I will say, no, you're not. You know how to spin energy around your finger. You know how to read it. You know how to access it. But until you know how to bring it into your body, you are not a master of energy. And so here's my point. It's a long-winded point, I know, but it will hit home, I promise. So the average human can hold about 5 minutes of joy before they bounce out of the body again, you see, because it's too big of a frequency for them. They are not calibrated to that frequency. Now, many light leaders will say, because I say to them, well, you can probably hold joy for about 30 minutes before you bounce out of your body if you're lucky. And for everyone listening, I already know they're going to try it. Yeah, I'm going to prove it right. I promise you, every single day, can you actually sustain 30 minutes of joy? That's the baseline. That's not even where we need everyone to be at.
And that feels
right?
like that's a lot.
That is a
For
lot.
It
most
is.
people.
Well,
Yeah.
guess what? If we can hold, and this is going to sound overwhelming, but I promise it's a muscle, and once you develop it, you will never go back. Right now, many light leaders are straddling the 3D, 4D world, thinking they're in 5D. They're not in 5D. And I don't like those terms, by the way. I just say them for human sake. When we get into the true new earth, that means we're in joy 75% of the time. We're in the possibility paradigm. We have to leave the problem paradigm and move into the possibility paradigm 75% of the time. How do we do that? We have to sustain joy for 3 hours a day. Sustain joy. People say, I don't have time for that. And I say, you don't have time to not do that. Because if we really would like to reclaim our planet, it is going to require that we tip mass consciousness. And if we don't need everyone to be in joy, but we need the light leaders to be in joy 3 hours a day. Think about that. If you're holding the highest frequency available to you for 3 hours a day, does that not stand to reason that we will tip into mass consciousness?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, like right now, I am planning my retreat to Greece. It already is almost all sold out, and I must go back to Greece because there's a lot of distortion in Greece. Here's what is interesting, and this is also an important point, is that people say to me, I've never heard of Mother Malia. And I say, that's not the question to ask. The question to ask is, why have I not heard of Mother Malia? Here's why. Greece has named an island after Mother Malia. They have named a palace and they have named a bee. And where have you heard about Mother Malia in the history books? It's almost impossible to find anything about me. Why is that? Because whoever controls the knowledge controls the people.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. That's right.
Right?
Mhm.
And if I am here to reclaim, to liberate the bee, so to speak, which is consciousness, because that's where it starts. That's why I'm going to Greece. To clear the distortions, I must be fortified as well by, I'm going to be living with the bees for about a week, literally living inside of a hut with the bees. And that will fortify me. And it will also help me clear the distortions, because you see, people, Greece, so much history is tied into Greece. And we call them all these sacred sites. They're not sacred sites to us. They're not sacred sites to us. Those are
Right.
sacrificial sites. They are sacred to the dark ones. They're not sacred to the benevolent ones. It does not mean that there is not beautiful energy in Greece, but it means that there's enough distortion there. It was not my plan, by the way, my human plan to go back to Greece. I've already been to Greece. But I got the relentless nudge, and then almost everyone signed up with just one email last week, you know? And so that's how I know it's important, and they all understand the mission. Because for me, part of why Malia can be here now, she told me, you know, I needed you to fit in with the humans. I needed you to learn how to be human and to fit in and to develop a credible reputation, so that when I came in, you will be taken seriously,
Yeah.
or we will, you know what I'm saying, you
Yes.
know?
Yeah.
And thank goodness this happened in front of 15 other people, because otherwise people might assume I'm insane. I believe there are plenty of people actually like me in institutions right now that were not believed,
Yeah.
that are
Yeah.
heavily
That's
medicated,
true.
you know?
Yeah.
This is also why I have a handler when I go traveling, because I'm way too friendly to the TSA agents, and I don't need them to think I'm on crack cocaine or, you know, yes, because I'm going to always be the happiest person in the airport. I tell you that. You know, I really stand out like a sore thumb.
That's
And
good. That's good.
yes, but
It is.
back to that, you see how the bee is very integral, very, very integral in restoring sovereignty, because she is creation. She is the creation codes. And there has been much hijacking. If you look at the queen, she has a bee crown on her head. They create drones. Drones are meant to, in the real world, the drone in the hive is meant to impregnate the queen to create more worker bees and to fly outside of the hive to see if there's any danger. But what do? They distort the bee. They colonize people, even though there are bee colonies with about 80,000 bees. They take the brain skull, or the bee skull, and wear it on their head. The queen and the royal family has many bee brooches and many other distorted bees. Unacceptable to me.
Mm.
They try to create the mechanical bee noise through white noise and through the cell phones, right? They have the drones that they use against the people in an actual hive. Drones are for the people; they're not against the people.
Right.
The bee creates, you only need 1 tablespoon a day of honey to get all of the nutrients you need. If for whatever reason you could only live on honey for the rest of your life, you will be fine. And I could go on, but the amount of hijacking and distortion of the bee is significant. Why so much if it is not significant?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. Very interesting. So you actually sit inside the beehive for how
Yes,
long?
well, it depends. If I could give this as an example to everyone as well to practice at home, just to hum like a bee for about 5 minutes a day and notice how you feel.
Wow.
Because it is the hum of the universe, I will just say for ease,
Okay.
right? So for some people, perhaps they will only be able to be in there for 5 minutes, which is okay, by the way. You will still get the medicine you need, if you get what I mean. For me, I actually shapeshift into a bee. I don't mean I become the size of a bee, but my body, when I get very excited, I will shapeshift into a bee.
Wow.
That is the other reason why I like to have a handler with me, so to speak, when I'm in public, to help me stay a little more human, because I can't suppress this. I went to Aruba at the end of January with my husband. And I call it going full Malia, where my hands start going. I bend over and arch like a bee. I start humming. My hands do this in the little fists, etc. But I go into an arch shape and I start making a lot of buzzing noises. I don't mean to do that. It just will take over.
Right.
And so for people that are woo, of course, they say, oh, well, they still get a little freaked out, to be honest. But But yes, for me to stay with the bees, it will just be like being in my own energy all the time, if that makes sense. So I am very much a part. One of the things I am doing for really anyone, and so anyone's welcome to contact me, I have a phase 1 and phase 2 free lifetime scholarship mentorship with me for anyone that has a sanctuary and or a bee apiary. So if you have a horse sanctuary, cow, wolf. I love my wolfies. Oh goodness, do I ever love my wolfies? Yeah, I ever scratched many of their bums and gotten many kisses from them. But really, it can be any type of sanctuary or reserve that is designed to where people are living up to the title of steward and where they're living up to the title of sanctuary, because sadly many are not. I will mentor them for free for life to help them really be able to monetize their projects and perhaps spread them. And then for phase 2, I am doing a group for 111 people, and they will have lifetime mentorship with me to get their sanctuaries off the ground, because I'm that passionate about it. And I am a busy bee. I really am. Right now I must travel and pollinate. I have to pollinate my energy literally around the world right now, because I've just come out of my 9-month cocoon. I was gestating for 9 months, if you get what I mean. So I need to come out like a slow, thick drip, like honey, and coat everything. And now I'm going to be on many, many planes for the next several months. So because I cannot, it will not be kind of me, I suppose will be the right word, I don't know, to start my own sanctuary. Then I will channel my energy towards actually helping many sanctuaries.
That's
Wow.
Yeah,
beautiful.
That
yeah.
is.
So I'm very serious about that. For anyone that will like support with that, they're welcome to message me. And the only thing I ask in return is I get to come and visit the sanctuaries whenever I want.
That seems fair.
Yeah, it does seem fair.
So
Fair
it's not
trade-off.
to check up on people. I just want to be clear on that. It's really because I want to be with all the animals and the bees and other such things. But yes, back to the solution. Well, you can hum like a bee for a few minutes a day or longer if you will like. You see, the other thing is too, by the way, someone said, how often do I meditate? I say, why will I meditate? I have nothing stresses me out. I can't be in my brain. The
Right,
brain is
right,
where we go to manage problems.
right.
Yeah.
And we have to calm the mind so that we are not overwhelmed by all of the problems we are trying to solve. The brain has limited usefulness for three-dimensional things like I have to pay my taxes, my fridge is empty, I have to get groceries, things like that. But mindset work, especially for light leaders, is completely ineffective. Because if you want to keep being the manager of opinions, manager of problems, manager of optics, etc., then yes, keep doing mindset work, keep meditating. But there's no need to meditate when you are literally a moving state of joy, or at least state of neutrality. And what I mean by neutrality is that I don't make meaning out of anything. Right?
Yeah.
So as an example, if I go to the grocery store, I'm just saying me, but you know, this will be a common thing. In the grocery store, with the cart, you go down the poopy aisle, you know, with the treats and the chips and other such things, right? Oh, there's a bag of Doritos. That is a neutral statement. Another neutral statement is, I like the taste of Doritos.
Right.
Where it becomes judgment is we say Doritos are bad and I am bad for wanting Doritos. What is wrong with me? And then it goes into a shame spiral, you
Right,
see, because
right.
judgment doesn't stay judgment. Judgment turns into blame, shame, or guilt within a nanosecond. So then we are in a heavy wet blanket. And so, or I'm in the grocery store and someone rams their cart into me. And I could just say, oh, someone hit me with their cart. It becomes a judgment when I say, how rude, that person has the worst manners in the world. What is wrong with them? They are dumb, they are mean, they are, you know. For all we know, they could have just gotten a stage 4 diagnosis. They could have just lost their job. They could have just been served divorce papers. They could have just found out their child ran away from home. I could go on, right?
Right.
But instead, we center ourselves in that and say, they did that to me. No. The objective reality is you were in the grocery store, they were in the grocery store, and their cart bumped into you. That is the objective reality. Now,
That's right.
believe me, I get it. Of course, if someone really was charging at you with a cart, then you could say this person is a little off the rocker. They're charging at me with a cart. But most times it's that people are out of their body and in their own world,
Yes.
and most people are not aware of their physical surroundings. You know, I watch my son that way. I say, holy cow, you know, he's happy to bang into everyone because he doesn't have a good sense of personal space. And part of that is because he has got some neurodivergence, which is another thing I think is happening a lot in the world. But the point is that at my resting state, I'm in neutrality. There's nothing that you can tell me that will faze me. I will not judge it. I have no need to judge it. It's not my place. It's not my journey. And
Right.
I'm not here for that. I'm here to be the medicine of joy and restoring original codes and helping all the light leaders be very locked into their mission and start putting their mission before the monkey mind.
Wow. That's a lot.
Wow, I love that.
Yeah.
I think that's really valuable information for people because it will give them a different perception if they are going out into those situations to realize that, right? Like
Yes.
they probably didn't cut me off in the vehicle on purpose, or they probably, we don't know where they are, and to stop that judgment. And
Yeah.
I think
Yes.
the more we can stop the judgment, the more we can move into that joy frequency.
Mhm.
Yes. Well, and then what happens? We judge ourselves. Right? We judge ourselves for judging others. So it starts to get very layered, I suppose. And then what happens? Now I have to do energy work on myself. I have to do mindset work on myself to unhook from the judgment that is only there because I was out of neutrality.
Yes.
True.
It's actually a lot more work to stay out of neutrality. But back to how this planet is run, savior, sacrifice, suffering. So there are always problems. But for the light leaders, they say, I don't want to leave the problem paradigm because that's what my business is based on. Well, no, we still have to meet the humans in the problems because their problems are their problems, meaning that is what's real for them. But we don't keep them there. Why would we want to keep people comfortable in the thing that they don't want anymore? Right? If they're
Right.
sovereign to sovereign, we say, hey, I see what's going on for you. Why don't you come on over here to the big sparkly crystalline pond where I'm hanging out, and let's just have a, nice little sun cold bath, etc. And not everyone will want to come with us, of course, but I'm not, I want to also be very clear, trauma is not a problem and systemic issues are not problems, because some people will say, oh, you are sounding privileged when you say that. No, I recognize, yes, I have privilege, of course. But what I'm saying is that problems are the things that we basically create ourselves, like we all know the friend that calls us, I want out of this relationship, and you spend hours a day with them on the phone. Every day they're calling, oh, I'm back in, I'm out, I'm in, I'm out. And that is the problem paradigm, where we go out of our way to create necessary hardship for ourselves, because that's also how we bond, is through problems. If you go into any coffee shop around the world, you will hear people commiserating about the weather, the government, family, spouse, etc. That is how people connect. That is
That's
not
true.
how we want to connect, but that is how we have been programmed to connect. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
very true. Very, very true.
Wow, a lot of information, isn't it? A lot
Yeah.
of information. You're very bubbly, you're very sweet. So you are. It all good information, and I'll remember this. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Our
Yeah,
listeners.
I like that. And so if you had a final message for us and for the followers, what would it be?
Oh, yes. Oh, goodness. So much to share, isn't there? Well, I will say that you are the gift, the ceremony, and the celebration. And many of our problems come from forgetting that.
Okay.
It is a great honor to be human, and we are highly regarded for choosing to be human. And I can tell you that as a translator from, I will just say for ease, the other side. Um, the beings that are not in physical form have immense reverence for humans. They have immense reverence for humans. And one of the desires is that for the humans to have the same reverence for being human as the light beings do, because it is considered a great honor. But it is a highly honored position in the infinite creative life force to choose the human path, especially during this time.
Yes.
And
Right.
so if we can remember to treat ourselves and each other as the ceremony, right? To be reverent to each other, and the celebration, oh goody, yay for life, yay for you. You will hear me say, I cannot help but say it is my joy and my honor to meet people, to be here, for example, etc. It really is. When I say that, I'm sure you feel the palpability of me meaning that. It is not a hollow statement.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, it's
Yeah.
not, yeah.
No,
Yeah,
you
it's
can
true.
feel that energy. So
From you, yes, you can.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
that's a beautiful message to leave with people. So
Yeah, yeah.
I really like that one.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Yeah. Thank you.
So where can they find her?
Yeah.
So where can they find you? Where can people find you?
Well, right now, if people go to my website, souljourneys.ca, yes, it is a Canadian website because, they bought the .com off me. Remember back when we will get the websites and everyone will buy domains from you, and someone bought it right away. I say, oof, But anyways, if you go to souljourneys.ca, I do have lots of free goodies on there, including being able to get daily messages from me, because it's my joy to do that. And then I am on the Facebook. I can't use Mother Malia, by the way. They don't let me do that. They won't
Oh,
let me, they will not let me change my name. They just
Oh,
don't
no?
accept it. Yeah.
Okay.
And so you will see Jennifer Longmore on Facebook, and Instagram and LinkedIn will be the primary ones, and also YouTube, I suppose. But if people would like to engage with me, those will be the main platforms. Frankly, Facebook, ideally, actually, that's where I spend the most time. Yeah.
Okay.
okay. Perfect. Well, that's wonderful. And wow, you gave us so much information in such a
Sure.
short period of time. Like it just flew by. So
Yeah, never.
I think that's, and I was thinking when you were talking, just your love of plants and being the bee and things like that, that's a real connection there with it. It's probably
Definitely.
where that attraction came in for
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
So that's
Mm.
pretty
Oh,
cool.
yes. Yes. Thank you. And my whole life, people will make honorings of honey to me. I never understood why, because you see, they were seeing me before I was aware of the magnitude of the mission, I suppose. Like even before Sedona, I was gifted all kinds of honey. And in my head, I say, why is everyone giving me honey? Well, then, of course, a few days later, it all made sense. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
And that's just I will just share that actually. One more thing is that I all my life I will have people want me to be their mother. When I was little, my mother wanted me to be her mother. You get what I mean? And then I started my business 20 years ago, and many clients have wanted me to be their mother, or at least I thought, because I was judging it.
Right.
And I will get annoyed sometimes. I will have moments in the business where I will say, why is everyone wanting to feed off the teat, so to speak? You know, if they will go into a very young energy and such. And then Malia told me when she first took over the mouse, she said, yes, your annoyances are your anointings. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
So all of my life, people were trying to sting me actually with the sacred medicine. It's time, it's time. And I will say, get away. I don't want to be your mother.
I'm not ready
And-
yet.
Yes, and Mother Malia isn't about being a mother. It is really just about grand stewardship, you know, of the planet, of the humans and other such things. But I leave that as well, because now we don't have to judge ourselves for our annoyances. We can say, if this annoyance keeps coming up, what is the anointing or the blessing in the annoyance?
Right. Right.
Oh, I like that. That
Yeah.
does give a person a lot to ponder with.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Oh, goodness. Well, I'm so grateful that you had me today, because I know I got a little bit gabby guts.
No, you were a delight.
You
So
are, but you really wanted to share what you know, and that's what
Yes.
we want the listeners to do, is to listen and find out how they can get their bliss, right?
Yes.
And I mean, you show that you definitely have yours, and
Yeah.
and they can find theirs too. So that's great. That's beautiful.
Yes. Oh,
Yeah.
wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you for
So-
joining us.
yes, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a real pleasure and so much information to digest. So
Yeah. So
Yes. Thank you so much.
we
thank you
appreciate
again.
it.
Yeah.
And everybody else, tune in the next time.
You bet you will.